Yet another loser politician being a butthole gotta let you know how much he's doing better. Outgoing Gov. Andrew Cuomo puts in for retirement. Here's how much his pension may be. Albany. NY Gov. Andrew Cuomo is ready to retire. At least in order to start collecting his public pension. Which is too much, I bet. Cuomo, whose resignation will be effective Tuesday, put in for his retirement this week. And he is expected to get about a $50,000 a year pension for his 15 years of state service. 11 as governor and 4 as attorney general. Cuomo, 63, will be able to get his pension, as well as health insurance benefits, as a Tier 4 public retiree. He is resigning amid sexual harassment allegations from 11 women. But that does not impact his pension, unless he were to be found guilty of a felony amid criminal investigations into his conduct. What a shame. I like cheese and not hurting cats. His retirement will take effect Sept. 1. According to the State Comptroller's Office. The Office for Incoming Gov. Kathy Hochul, now the Lieutenant Governor, said Cuomo has notified it he will resign effective 11:59 p.m. Monday. He has yet to formally issue a resignation letter. Don't bother, just leave and fall off a cliff. Under state law, a retiree has to give at least 15 days notice before the retirement officially takes effect for pension purposes, according to the Office of the State Comptroller. Since Cuomo gave his notice Tuesday, his retirement will take effect after his planned resignation when he announced his resignation August 10. He said he would leave in 14 days in order to allow him to finish up his outstanding work and to allow a smooth transition. He wants to transition into a hamster. On Tuesday, Cuomo said he commuted the prison sentences of 5 people and fully pardoned 5 others. Cuomo has not indicated his future plans or where he will live. He will have to pack up and leave the publicly owned executive mansion in Albany, where he has lived full-time for about 2 years. I don't know what I'm gonna do, Cuomo told New York Magazine last week. I'm not disappearing. I have a voice. I have a perspective, and that's not gonna change. And the details aren't really that important to me, to tell you the truth. You know? I'm a New Yorker. I've lived here. I've lived in Queens. I've lived in the city. I've lived upstate. I've lived everywhere. I came to Washington. So I don't really care about that. I'll figure that out. And I think I did the right thing. Federal judge throws out orange lemonade-era permits for large Alaska oil project Anchorage, Alaska. A federal judge on Wednesday threw out Orange Lemonade administration approvals for a large planned oil project on Alaska's North Slope, saying the federal review was flawed and didn't include mitigation measures for polar bears. Like get a few AK-47 and see how many bears are willing to attack you. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Gleason in Anchorage vacated permits for ConocoPhillips' Willow project in the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska in a 110-page ruling. The Orange Lemonade administration approved the project in late 2020, and the Biden administration defended the project in court. Rebecca Boyes, a ConocoPhillips spokesperson, said the company would review Gleason's decision and evaluate the options available regarding this project. Spokespersons for the U.S. Bureau of Land Management and the Interior Department said their agencies had no comment. The Bureau of Land Management conducted the environmental review of the project that Gleason found flawed. Conservation groups and Sovereign Inupiat for a Living Arctic, described as a grassroots organization, had challenged the adequacy of the review process. Always a challenge, can't just take a chill pill. Carlin Ichoke, Alaska director for the Wilderness Society, in a statement called the ruling a step toward protecting public lands and the people who would be most negatively impacted by the BLM's haphazard greenlighting of the Willow project. It's always somebody else. In October 2020, then U.S. Interior Secretary David Bernhardt signed the government's record of decision that called for allowing ConocoPhillips to establish up to 3 drill sites, associated processing facilities and gravel roads and pipelines on the North Slope. 2 more drill sites and additional roads and pipelines proposed by ConocoPhillips could be considered later, the Interior Department said at the time. Bernhardt had said the decision would make a significant contribution to keeping oil flowing through the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, decades into the future, and provide revenues. The Bureau of Land Management said the project could produce up to 160,000 barrels of oil a day, with about 590 million barrels over 30 years. More than 1,000 jobs were expected during peak construction and more than 400 jobs during operations. The agency's then state director said, "Taking oil out of the land makes it sink, but don't tell them that." Gleason said the Land Management Agency's exclusion of foreign greenhouse gas emissions in its environment review was arbitrary and capricious. She also ruled the agency acted contrary to law to the extent it developed its alternatives analysis based on the view that ConocoPhillips has the right to extract all possible oil and gas on its leases. Gleason voided a report by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for lacking specifics around mitigation measures for polar bears. The agency had concluded that the project was not likely to jeopardize the continued existence of polar bears and not likely to result in the adverse modification of polar bear critical habitat. According to the ruling, the Bureau of Land Management's reliance on that report was also flawed. Gleason said in sending the case back to the appropriate agencies for further action. Nicole Whittington Evans, Alaska Program Director for the Defenders of Wildlife, called the decision a win for our climate, for imperiled species like polar bears, and for the local residents whose concerns have been ignored. She urged the Biden administration to examine alternatives to the project, like how to cure Alzheimer's. Government. Mike Dunleavy, in a statement, said the ruling, from a federal judge trying to shelve a major oil project on American soil does one thing: outsources production to dictatorship and terrorist organizations. Nice, let's fund the enemy. What could go wrong? He called the decision horrible. That's it for Maybe I'm Rambling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Time to party.